begins is with attachment. So I'm going to start out with a little bit of a conversation about attachment, and hopefully that will weave in more and you'll understand more why we're talking about that in order to discuss this issue. So where does it all begin? You know, any ideas where it all begins? Right? It all begins with attachment, right? It all begins in these relationships that we form with our children. And it's the most important template of our life. So, you know, one of the things that I'm not going to be going deeply into brain science while we're here, although that I have become a weird brain science. Like, I was terrible in science, and now I'm like, you know, I study, like, my kids give me like brain science magazines for Christmas. Like, it's weird. And I'm like, how did I get smart in brain science? Because man, I did not do good in science when I was in school. But it's because it's super interesting to me. And because that's when a lot of the attachment stuff is happening in the beginning, is when our kids are young and tons are going on in their brains, right? It's just like, it's a playground in there, right? And all sorts of fabulous things are happening. So when I say it starts with attachment, right? So we understand what we're talking about. What is attachment? It's a word that's getting used more all the time, but it's a word that people often don't understand. When I work with families, sometimes I'll say, you know, we got some attachment issues going on, or, you know, well, let's work on the attachment. And sometimes actually the parents will get defensive with me and they'll say, Alyson, I love my children. Like, what are you saying? There's an attachment problem. And I'm like saying, no, that's not it, right? It's not like a measure of love at all, right? It's how we develop a template for relationships. And what we want to do, and love's part of attachment, but it's not all of attachment, right? And the more you understand attachment, the more you can consciously enrich your relationship with your children. So that's part of my goal tonight, is to give people who are parents a little bit more of an understanding around attachment, because we do a thing in our office, we call it attachment boot camp, right? Where we literally have 2 sessions, and and it's like this, it's heavy content. Like, it's like, I don't mean it's heavy as not interesting, it's like structured, right? And actually our parents find it great because nobody's ever done that with them before, and we give them sort of the tools and the understanding of how to deal with the attachment. And when we're talking about attachment disruptions, that becomes really important. The good news is attachment is completely natural, and most of us get to not even think about it, right? It's just wired into us. So our children are attaching to us when we're looking in their eyes, when we're playing with them, and it's all just unfolding naturally. But when there's a separation that occurs, we kind of have to up our knowledge of it so we can know how to hold the attachments for both, with the children, for both parents, right? So, but in essence, you don't have to know about it to do it well. People can do it brilliantly and have very little knowledge of it at all. But it joins people together emotionally. So for psychology, we're looking at, this is helping us explain personality development, etc. For family law, when you talk attachment, it gives them a lens, right? It gives people a lens to understand the parent-child relationship, especially when assisting parents with the family disputes and parenting plans. So that goes from all the way for the lawyers that are collaboratively or cooperatively trying to help you with yours, all the way up to the courts, actually, who are making huge decisions about children and have had shockingly little understanding of attachment. I feel very fortunate because last week I actually got to go in with the Supreme Court of British Columbia and teach the judges about attachment. Wow. And the parent-child continuum relationship. Yeah, that was like a blue letter day for me, right? Mm-hmm. To be able to go and have access to the decision makers and talk to them, and they wanted to know. So that was very, very cool.